It's a somewhat cold morning, but let's warm up. I think the discussions are quite engaging. So let's warm up and just have the best of each session. Okay, so to our partners, the Logistics Update Africa, and all our other eminent partners who have worked together to make this summit a success, our guests, and members of the Fourth Estate, good morning once again. Good morning once again. Okay, so in the spirit of learning Swahili, I've had the MC was teaching Karibu Sana. I'd also like to welcome you to the land of Hakuna Matata. I know Lion King used to say Hakuna Matata, but in Kenya we say it Hakuna Matata, meaning there's no problem. So you're safe, you're good, you're welcome. Okay? So without much ado, I'd like to embark on our issue of the day. So I'm here on behalf of my CEO, Mr. Clement Tulezi, who is, of course, the CEO of Kenya Flower Council and is also the chairman of the National Horticulture Task Force. And as you've heard, my name is Lina Jamwa. I'm the Membership Advocacy and Communications Manager at the Kenya Flower Council. So it's really a great pleasure being here today and just to discuss issues that pertain to this important industry and just generally finding ways of how we can work together as stakeholders in the industry. So KFC, we are the business membership organization representing the Kenyan flower industry. That is generally the producers, the growers, the consolidators in the industry. We also have anyone else who feeds into the supply chain. So pretty much the logistics partners that we have, members of KFC. We have as well manufacturers of pesticides amongst others. Okay, so as we've seen, we've had the good discussion that has continued, and we all know that Kenya is the fourth largest economy in the sub-Saharan Africa, and we are classified as a lower middle income country. So agriculture really makes a big part of the Kenya's GDP. We contribute 20% to Kenya's GDP, and this is not a figure that can be ignored. And agriculture also employs 54.43% of Kenya's labor force. So don't you agree with me that it's an industry to be really looked at seriously? So apart from that, horticulture itself, out of this 20%, the subsector that is, the 20% that agriculture contributes to Kenya's GDP, horticulture itself contributes 34% of this, and the floriculture industry contributes 72% of this 34% that the horticulture industry contributes to the GDP. So you find that the flower industry basically translates to about 107.5 billion Kenyan shillings annually. So you can see how much the flower industry contributes to the Kenyan economy. So we are a very important sector. We are a very viable and very important sector that needs to be taken quite seriously. And of course, that goes into saying that everything that regards our business needs to be taken to be actually smoothened to make sure that business runs as normal. So Kenya exports thousands of tons of flowers per year. In 2021 alone, we exported about 210,000 tons of flowers. This was worth about 110 billion shillings. Translating to about $916 million US. So the industry's impact cannot really be overruled, as we've seen. The floriculture industry alone employs 150,000 directly, 1 million indirectly, and 4 million through the other, and it impacts 4 million through the other people in the supply chain, the employers in the supply chain. So despite the fact that this industry is quite big, and it's contributing a lot to the economy, we still have several challenges. You've had the mention of capacity. That is one of our problems and a challenge that we have in the industry. You've had the mention of generally air freight. Air freight is basically the one that is being used to a great percentage right now, okay, in Kenya. But of course, the challenges have also been mentioned. Then there's also inconsistency of quality supplies and timeliness of deliveries, and other risks related to the image and reputation of the Kenyan flower. So back in the day, you'd find that the Kenyan flower was there were issues that had been raised maybe like 10, 15 years ago about the sustainability of sustainability practices surrounding the Kenyan flower. But we have managed to handle this, and I'm very proud to say that the Kenya Flower Council standard, that is the flowers and ornamental sustainability standard, has been quite instrumental in making sure that these sustainability concerns have been addressed. So right now, as we speak, we can comfortably and proudly talk of a sustainably raised and grown flower in Kenya. Okay, so to find a lasting solution to the issue that was raised in terms of air freight, in terms of limited capacity, and especially during COVID time, we saw like those even more of this because, of the obvious reasons, people were not moving as much and cargo was also not moving at some point. Kenya Flower Council with other players came together in the year 2012. That was, of course, way before COVID, but it was a discussion that began that time, and it was about considering sea freight as a viable option of transportation for fresh flowers. So this discussion began in 2012, as I've mentioned, and it went on until now after the COVID era. COVID basically just aggravated, I think, with the way COVID affected most businesses, even the floriculture industry was affected, and we realized it was time to really have real conversations around these things. So part of the things we did was to look at sea freight as a very serious and viable means of transport for flowers. In 2022, this year, in February, we actually fortified our campaigns around this. And as we speak, currently, we are shipping about 10 containers per week of flowers via sea. Okay? Isn't that something to applaud? Okay, so I know there are several issues that perhaps maybe one would ask if you consider shipping via sea, shipping flowers via sea. As we know, of course, it's a fresh produce. And perhaps the biggest question one would ask is, how is the quality affected? Faith was talking about quality here. And it's part of the things that we have looked at quite intensely as one of the things that will actually get to successful sea freighting. What we have done is we got into some partnerships with some of our industry partners, and we had a study done in the year 2021. This one was done by UK Aid, Flamingo Farm, and the Embassy of Netherlands. And one of the things was basically to increase the competitiveness of the Kenyan flower, and just to see its robustness in the global market, and to see, if we can use sea freight as opposed to air freight, and see if we could manage the costs downwards and just get the flower to the other end at fairly affordable costs for the end consumer, as well as all the logistics players in the process. This study basically recommended to facilitate direct shipments to Western Europe, also to resolve the inefficient and unreliable port operations, ensure reliability of sea freight, reduce cost for inland freight, amongst others. So we've been working together with the key government parties. We've been working with the KRA, we've been working with KEFIS. I'm certain possibly there are representatives here. We've been working with as well the Ports Authority, amongst others. KAA is also one of our very close partners because of this. And just generally all those stakeholders who are involved in this process. So we are also looking into supporting the SGR to also transport reefer containers. And part of this, we have done a lot of sensitization with regards to this. We've had webinars, we've had basically just being on the ground with our members as well, just to find what they feel about it. Right now, we are at 10% acceptance within our membership. 10% of them actually using sea freight. And we know that other challenges of maybe the risk of delays, amongst others, will maybe be brought up as quite actually pertinent challenges that need to be looked at. But as it is, our partners, I know we're working with Maersk Kenya, and as well, CMA CGM also handles freight of flowers. So you find that mostly we are doing an average of 30 days, And these flowers, as maybe you don't know Flower Watch will tell you more, they are treated and they are able to last, so we can assure you there's quality, and then quality of the produce that is carried via sea freight. And then even the stakeholders who are involved are quite apt, and they know that all these things, all these other things contribute to the end product, so they are aware of that, and so delays are also curtailed because they are aware of that. And we're actually still lobbying to have the business processes adjusted in other areas, but yes, so far that is where we are with the sea freight. And we are actually working to get all on board. We have a very ambitious plan to have 50% of flowers being transported by sea freight by the year 2030. Don't you think we can do that? So apart from that, we recognize the other factors that come with sea freight. Of course, it's cheaper than air freight. You find it's basically 40% cheaper than air freight. And then it's more environmentally friendly. I'm not trying to put our partners off business, but yeah, ocean freight is 70 to 80% more environmentally friendly as compared to air freight. So with that, I'd like to end here. Thank you so much, and have a very good day.